Hi, friends. I am so excited to bring you this episode for good reason. This is the 13th episode of the Driven Introvert podcast, and it happens to be the last episode of season 1. Yes, so let me back up a little. This is a seasonal podcast, which means I'll take a break in between seasons so I can come back to you refreshed, rejuvenated, and ready to do it again. I am in a busy season of life right now. I have a toddler, a very active one at that. I have my day job, because we all need one before passion and dreams begin to pay the bills, right? I'm running a mentorship program right now, and we'll talk about that. I'm creating content, running Shepact. I'm planning an in-person event in Dallas at the end of the year. I'm trying to eat right. I'm trying to drink water, pray, read my Bible, and fellowship with the Lord, and then host this podcast. I am not complaining. I love it all, but a break will do me some good. So this episode, I'll be doing kind of like a recap of this season. We'll talk about the new direction for the podcast and how I'm excited to support you on your own journey. We'll talk about lessons I've learned from starting this podcast and a free resource I've created just for you. I'm so excited. Let's go. You're listening to the Driven Introvert podcast, a faith-inspired space for purposeful introverts who are ready to step out with courage and pursue their big ideas. If you are an introvert who is tired of letting fear dictate what you do and how you do it, then this podcast is for you. I'm here to remind you that the life and work you've dreamed about is possible, and your unique personality is not a limitation to achieving it. I'm your host, Remy Roy, and I'm the co-founder of Shepact.com. On this podcast, I'll feature introverts and others with unique perspectives on what it means to follow dreams, passionately build out ideas, and live a life that matters. Expect inspiring conversations, resources, reflections, and stories on faith, life, and work. First, I want to say thank you so much. Honestly, recording this podcast has been a joy, and I'm so grateful that you all keep listening. Thank you. I am so honored that you will tune in and listen and leave reviews and share the podcast with your friends. I had to dig into my analytics for this, but get this. You guys have been listening to the podcast from over 20 countries on planet Earth. Like, what? This is seriously blowing my mind. Shout out to my people listening from the US, Nigeria, from the motherland, yes, UK, Canada, United Arab Emirates, Germany, New Zealand, South Africa, Spain, Ireland, Italy, Russia, Sweden, Malawi, Barbados, Israel, Jamaica, Finland, Norway, Slovakia, the Netherlands, and France. Like, who is listening from Slovakia? Seriously, I want to make you shoot me a message. I am truly blown away, guys. Thank you. Thank you so very much. 1,000 thank yous. When I started this podcast in February, well, technically in March of this year, I truly had no expectations. Well, very little expectations. I'd been down this road before, and I knew that just like anything else, you should not tie, the success of any new venture, idea, or endeavor to a specific outcome, right? It's never a good idea. It's easier said than done, but I know it's a great mindset to have. And I want you to take this to heart too. After all, what I'm doing here is trying to get you to move, to take action, to get unstuck, and pursue your big God ideas. And to do that, you cannot be checking how far you've gone every minute of the day. You have to stay focused, because some days will be better than others, but if you keep at it, things will eventually make sense and the dots will connect. This season has been full of great insights and conversations. Episode 1, I introduced the podcast and talked about the premise, which is encouraging and inspiring you to continue to step out with courage and pursue your big ideas. That's it. And over the past few months, I've gained so much clarity on how I want to help you achieve that. But we'll come back to that, okay? Let's put a pin in that. Episodes 2 and 3, I had Coach Anna McCoy here, and we talked about confidence, which is something I believe you need if you're going to face your fears at this point or at any point in your life and bring your dreams to pass. I talked about my own struggles with confidence, and if you still need a sign that it is possible for you to grow your confidence and step out with courage, go and listen to those episodes. That's your sign. Go listen, right? When I started the podcast, I wasn't 100% clear on how to deliver on the promise of helping you let go of the things that has held you back, in the past from going after those big ideas God has given you. I knew that storytelling was one of them, and I love that part. I love having these conversations with people who have taken bold steps, that we can really learn from. For example, Latrice's story in episodes 5 and 6 really hit me. I mean, the deliberate way she went after starting her beauty company was absolutely inspiring. It's a God thing, my friends. It's a God thing. You know it when your faith is activated and it shows up in every area of your life, even in business. So for me, I'd been praying for clarity on the business side of my calling. I know I'm called to work alongside women as they figure out their next steps and purpose. And I know that there's solid value to be delivered there, right? But I didn't have clarity on exactly how to do that. So I took my own advice and I sought the Lord. I prayed, I fasted, and as always, God came through. Like He always does, people. He always does. Now I have more clarity. I know the direction this podcast has to go and the unique value it should deliver to live up to that promise. What am I talking about? Well, my goal with this podcast, as with Shepact and everything else I do really, is to help you get unstuck, make progress, and find community. That's number 1, get unstuck. Number 2, make progress. And number 3, find community. I want you to get unstuck so you can gain clarity on your next steps and finally stop the cycle of wondering and thinking and planning but never being able to take action. Number 2, I want you to make progress because, think about it. Forward motion is absolutely necessary if you want to pursue your God ideas or any ideas at all. You want to keep taking action and seeing the fruit of that action. This is what gives you confidence that you're on the right track. And all it takes is baby steps, putting one foot in front of the other. When you stop doing that, you begin to feel like you're not making progress, you're not moving forward, and it affects your confidence. So I want you to make progress by taking baby steps, no matter how small. And number 3, I want you to find community because it is very easy to feel lonely when you're pursuing a goal. You may feel like no one gets you, no one really understands what you're doing or what you're going through or why you're doing what you're doing. Maybe the people in your life don't get it. Some may even feel like you're wasting your time. So being in community with like-minded people like you who are also chasing their God dreams is actual gold. It's priceless. You benefit from the uplifting environment and make invaluable connections. So again, the goal is to help you get unstuck, make progress on your God ideas, and find community. So let's talk about how I plan to do this. This month, July 2024, we started the first ever Shepact Mentorship program. I'm excited. I'm currently working 7 women through this program and it's been amazing. I'm in awe of what God is doing already and I just cannot wait to share the amazing stories and breakthroughs that I know will come out of this. Let me just share some of the wins we're already seeing in the program right now. One of the ladies, she joined the program because she has this passion to set up a food bank to support struggling families in her community. She knew for sure that the Lord was prompting her to do this, but for years she'd been stuck, not sure where to start and how to move forward. She felt overwhelmed and also unqualified because how was she going to fund this? During the mentorship program, other issues started to come to the fore. She realized that one of the reasons she felt stuck on this passion project was because she also felt stuck in her career. And as you probably know, if you're struggling at work, it is hard to chase dreams because you're almost in survival mode. Now we're working on a plan to get her unstuck in her career, strategizing on a career pivot, and while she's doing that, hope is restored and she's able to start taking baby steps towards her passion project, which includes volunteering and reaching out to people in the community who can donate to the food bank. I tell you, there is power in seeking help and talking through where you are so that you can get unstuck and make progress on your passions. One of the ladies is reviving her business right now, which has stalled because she was overwhelmed and unable to take definite steps forward. Someone else is working on building her writing portfolio and is taking a challenge to write for 30 days. My friend, transformation is possible when you get unstuck. You find hope and direction, and that gives you confidence to move forward. By the time this episode airs, we would have opened up the opportunity for you to get one-on-one mentorship or join the next cohort mentorship, whichever works for you. So if you prefer going alongside other people on, going through a program, maybe it helps you keep up the momentum so you can actually finish it, then the cohort will be a great option for you. Or if you want one-on-one mentorship where I get to walk you through getting unstuck and making progress on the things you want to do, then that's also an option. So you can visit shepact.com/mentorship to learn more about that. I'll leave the links in the show notes. So my friends, years ago, I was afraid to walk into a room of people I didn't know. I shared about this in episode 11. And while I'm absolutely happy being an introvert and I do not see my personality as a disadvantage at all, I am committed to letting go of every limitation that has held me back in the past. I want the same for you. I encourage you to do the same thing. If you find yourself in a constant state of uncertainty and fear or lack of clarity, and you're unable to take the step forward towards the dreams and calling God has on your life, I'd love to connect with you through this mentorship. So in the light of that, I'll be updating some of the descriptions for the podcast to reflect the targeted value I'm looking to deliver with this episode. We'll also be releasing some resources for you to download and use for your own growth and development. Actually, the first resource is available right now. It's called Get Unstuck, 6 reflection prompts to help you make progress on your God idea. If any of these that I've been talking about resonates with you, you need this resource. Let me ask you a few questions here. Do you have an idea you've been thinking about for a while, but you're unsure of how to start? Maybe you have a sense that God is calling you to step out and do something new, but you've been held back by fear, uncertainty, and a lack of clarity. Or maybe you have a sense that there's something you should be doing or creating, but you're not even sure what that thing is. Well, I want you to get unstuck and make progress. So I've created a free downloadable resource to get you started. Think of it as a guided reflection journal that will lead you through questions, prompts, and ideas meant to help you sort through what is holding you back so you can make progress in that particular area where you felt stuck. I really encourage you to get it today. It's available right now if you visit shepact.com/getunstuck. You can download it for free, and I'll leave the links in the show notes.
Hi, friend. Are you enjoying the podcast? May I ask you a favor? Please take a moment to leave a review of the show wherever you listen to podcasts. Reviews are very important and help other people find the Driven Introvert podcast. I'd really appreciate if you could rate the show and also leave a written review. You can review on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Now back to the podcast.
All right, this has been amazing. Like I said, it's been 5 months of recording this podcast, and I have a lot of lessons. This project has taught me so many things about myself, about how I work, about my expectations, about my relationship with God, and I just want to get into it. I want to share with you 7 lessons I've learned from podcasting so far. Number 1, when you take a step of faith, the road will rise to meet you. This has been my absolute experience. I had so many fears about starting the podcast. I mean, the idea started as a natural progression from wanting to interview women for the Shepact community. And naturally, I prayed about it. And I really felt a lot leading me to get started on it. However, I felt a lot of insecurity about doing it by myself. But the amount of resources and favor I've received has just been incredible. So if you have a nudge in your heart to do something, even if it is not something you've done before or something you feel naturally suited for, take that step of faith. Because I tell you, I do not feel like a natural speaker. It's hard for me. It's never been easy for me to speak or communicate ideas. But I know in this season, I'm a round peg in a round hole. Even if my edges feel kind of jagged sometimes, but I'm doing it. And that's one lesson I've learned. All right, number 2. Starting something new exposes your areas of improvement. I was going to say it exposes your flaws, your weaknesses, but let's focus on the positive, okay? By its very nature, doing something new requires that you use or learn new skills, new muscles that you probably never knew you had. You need to stretch and grow in new ways, and all of this will expose your flaws, your mistakes, your problematic mindsets, and areas you need to improve. All of the time, 100%. Which is why you should be trying new things, because the more you do, the more opportunities you have to become better. So some of my flaws I've come to realize is this. Even though I'm very disciplined, I am not as detailed as I always thought myself to be. I can be quite sloppy about certain things, and it causes me to be stressed and a little overwhelmed. For example, I'm not great about organizing myself, organizing my content, my stuff. My folders are all over the place, documents are not properly named, so I'm constantly looking for things. And it slows me down. Like it just increases the turnaround time on anything I need to do because I'm always looking for things and trying to figure things out. In other words, I either need to clean up my act and keep things straight, or maybe get someone to help me manage certain tasks. And yeah, we'll see where that goes. But that's one lesson I have learned. Number 3, podcasting has shown me I have unrealistic expectations of support from other people. This is a weird one. I guess most people who do stuff online might probably get this. I placed a lot of weight on having my friends and people I know in real life share my work and show their support. I placed so much weight on that, more than I should have. This is not a dig at my people, right? It only showed me how unrealistic my expectations were. Because, come on, everyone has their own life, their dreams, their hopes, their struggles, the things they are chasing. And the fallacy we creative people tend to have is that because the things we're doing are so public, it deserves more attention and support from our people. No, absolutely no. It was a tough pill for me to swallow, but I had to fix my perspective on that. The flip side of that is the question I had to ask myself: how available am I to help other people and support their thing? So, yes, I try to do that and support other people, but can I say that I do my absolute best at it? This gave me a lot of food for thought. All right, number 4. My capacity for interaction has increased. Y'all, I'm an introvert. I'm the introvert's introvert. Small talk bores me. I like to get straight to the point. I never used to be great with conversations and interactions with other people, especially people that I'm not familiar with. But through my work with Shepact and the podcast, I really believe my capacity has increased. As a matter of fact, when we stopped doing virtual workshops, I miss the connections with the women who came through the community. I miss getting to meet people over Zoom, connecting and learning about them, about what they're working on and all that stuff. But with the mentorship program now, I'm getting more of that FaceTime. And with the podcast, I've really loved having these conversations, but I will always be an introvert. I don't think that's going to change, but my capacity for interactions has increased. And it's quite interesting to experience this. What I'm thinking about, though, what I'm really curious about, though, is if this new and improved capacity, so to speak, carries over to like prolonged times of in-person interactions. Because right now, most of my work is online. Connections are virtual. We do have an in-person event coming up in Dallas later in the year, so I guess I'll test my theories then. And of course, I'll let you know more about that event soon, as soon as I have more information on that. But yeah. All right, number 5. My mental capacity to think and contemplate ideas has increased exponentially. I consider myself a thinking introvert. If you're not aware of the types of introverts, there are 4 subtypes according to WebMD, and I'll go through these subtypes very briefly. So we have the social introverts. This is the classic type of introvert. Social introverts like small groups and quiet settings over crowds. The thinking introverts. People in this group are daydreamers. They spend a lot of time in their thoughts and tend to have very creative imaginations. They have the anxious introvert. They seek out alone time, not just because they like it, but also because they often feel awkward and shy around other people. That's me. Well, that used to be a lot me, but I've changed a little now. And then number 4, the restrained or inhibited introverts. These are introverts who think before they act, and they're not likely to make a decision on a whim. Typically, they take longer to take action. I feel like I have a little bit of all these subtypes, but I definitely identify myself as a thinking introvert. The daydreaming thing, that's me, 100%. So the thinking part of me means I love to be in my creative imagination a lot. However, with creating the podcast, I've had to really dig deep into this part of me, both from a creative and a sort of analytical perspective. I used to be lazy about thinking too deeply about things, especially if I didn't care about them or if they were boring like math or numbers, But in this season, I found myself spending more and more time thinking and being linear in my thoughts in order to piece out or sort of deconstruct ideas so that I can present them clearly and with intention on the podcast. And I quite enjoy the process. So my capacity to think and really contemplate ideas has increased exponentially, and I love that. Number 6, podcasting has challenged and improved my prayer life. Now, this one might sound curious, but hear me out. Knowing that you're on the other side, listening to me talk about things, trying to encourage and inspire you, and hopefully leave you with thoughts and ideas that will move you to action. This has made me realize how inadequate and unprepared I am for this. Hence my extra dependence on the Lord. Like, He is the author of all wisdom. I cannot claim to know or have anything that He hasn't made available to me, right? So, just like I'm doing, I encourage you to take Proverbs 3, verses 5 to 6 seriously. It says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways, submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." That's exactly what I'm doing, leaning on God every single day, because I know I have to do this work that I take very intentionally and seriously, and it just drives me to go to the cross and pray and seek the Lord all the more. All right, number 7. Starting this podcast has taught me the continuous nature of our human desire for improvement and forward motion. Right now, I'm already thinking, what's next? It's crazy. Like, not because I want to stop the podcast and do something else. No, actually, I believe I'm just getting started. But because there's a part of me that kind of feels like I've conquered a mountain and I want to go find another one. It's crazy. It's just amazing. And I think this is a great place to play a clip from episode 10. It really just illustrates what my guest Ayofe was talking about here. Let's listen to that.
The thing about success is that it is very fleeting, because after this success, the next thing is what next? What you have in your mind is what is next. And that is what many people don't understand, and they fall into arrival fallacy. It is just you thinking that you're going to be happy and you will feel in a particular way when you achieve a particular dream.
Something.
And for many of us who have achieved significant dreams over and over again, you'd realize that after that event, after a while, your life is asking for one more. You're thinking about what else. It means that you've challenged yourself and you want to break your own record.
Oh my God.
So yesterday's success is no longer significant. You're looking for the next thing.
Okay, so what does this mean? Is this some insatiable desire for more, and when does it stop? I've been thinking about this a lot because I don't want to be a drone. I don't want to be a drone just doing things because I've been programmed to do them. I want to be intentional and only do what aligns with my purpose and God's will for me. So, like I said, I've been thinking about this. So what I've landed on is this. I am driven. I want to chase my dreams. I want to make progress on my ideas. And that part of me can hardly be turned off, right? However, I have to focus on things that are important. And for me, 3 things are very crucial at this point. Number 1, I need to always check my heart and my intentions. It's got to be from a pure and holy place, the things that I want to do, not for vainglory, but for God's glory. So number 2, I have to apply wisdom as I do things. I don't want to be a fool who just goes on and does things. Or there's that verse in Proverbs 22 verse 3 that says, "The wise see danger ahead and avoid it, but fools keep going and get into trouble." I don't want to be that fool, right? So if there's something ahead that I should not reach for, I want to be wise and pay attention to that and let God lead me. And number 3, I do not want to do things in my own strength, because that is how you get jaded and burned out. So these are the 7 lessons I've learned from podcasting so far. I am curious if any of these lessons resonate with you somehow. Even if you're not a podcaster, if you're doing anything at all, chasing dreams, your career, whatever it is, does any of this resonate with you? I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this. And could you do me a favor? Right, I want to hear your thoughts. Consider leaving a review and sharing your feedback with me. It helps a great deal. All you need to do is simply scroll down on your podcast app, click write a review, and let me know what you thought about this episode and the 7 lessons I just shared with you. I'd really appreciate that. All right. Thank you so much for coming on this journey with me. Thank you for listening to the podcast, for sharing and leaving your reviews. Again, I'll be taking a break for a few weeks and I'll be back in September with new episodes. But I will not leave you hanging. No, I will not. Look out for some surprises during my hiatus. All right, check out shepact.com/mentorship if you're interested in doing our mentorship program. download the free resource that I created just for you to get you started on getting unstuck and pursuing your God ideas. I will leave the links to all of that in the show notes. Thank you for listening, and I will see you soon.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Driven Introvert podcast. If you enjoyed this conversation, please take a moment to click the follow button on your podcast app or subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. As always, don't forget to take courage, trust God, and go pursue your big ideas. See you next time. The Driven Introvert podcast is produced by Shepact.com and Remy Roy, with content, editing, and strategy expertise from Candice Zakaria and Aishat Olarewaju. Want to ask a question or share a comment on a future episode? Email us today at thedrivenintrovert@shepact.com or click on the link in the show notes to record your question in a voicemail.